Alright, this is for Thanh Vu Dinh. Um, and so the first and foremost thing that I'm going to kind of talk about is um, you really want to create a separate background, foreground, middle ground. And so what I mean by that is um, you've got the how do I want to put this? Let's go from here. Um, so you've got her in the foreground, and she is the same tonal value as she's the same tonal value basically as the um, panda, the background, and so on and so forth. The only thing that really separates her is the whiteness of the foreground. So the thing that I would say right off the bat is that you want to take her and put her on a separate layer and basically make her a little bit more saturated to stand out a little bit more, and even darker almost to pop her out just a hair more. That being said, then you want to also um, separate the panda as well from the background, because he is kind of got this feeling that he just doesn't feel like he's um, part of this too. So we're just going to add a little bit here, and let's subtract just real quick. Just get this out of here. Okay, so we're going to cut him from the background too. Okay, so uh, you want to almost take the background and desaturate it a little bit more, and also lighten it up a little bit more. Say okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to just do a history brush. No, not that one, that one right there, and we're just going to do this right like this, and simply kind of start by putting some of this stuff back in there. Oops, wrong brush. Let's go back here. Wrong brush. Alright. So then here you can start darkening some of this stuff, and that's going to separate the character a little bit more. The other thing that you really want to pay attention to is kind of the poses of the character. When I'm looking at this, the poses of the character are essentially kind of awkward. So basically what you've got here is the spine coming down. Oops, draw that above there. So you've got the spine coming down like this, and then you've got what looks to be a leg coming over here. So this is a leg here, and then another leg there. So, but the way the direction is, this hip is over here like so, and everything kind of feels, you didn't define the posterior enough, and then on top of that, her shoulder's in the wrong location. You kind of need to define that a little bit more. Also, you want to pay attention to the silhouette. So the problem with the silhouette is that if you look at it from just this standpoint, so I'm just going to clone this layer here and show you just from a silhouette standpoint, that's pretty much what you have. And it just doesn't read very well. So that's the big issue is it just doesn't read very well. So that's something that you want to pay attention to as well. If I were to do this, what I would say is, oops, I didn't want to do that. There we go. So what I want to do is, so if I were to redo this and redraw this, if you want her in there, so first of all, she's kind of awkward, and then second of all, he's kind of awkward because this is the back. Again, you're missing the posterior. You don't really have that. This character's got very big legs, so it's almost super proportional, out of proportion. and then on top of that, you've got um, an arm here and then an arm straight out there, and then the head's almost turned backwards. So you need to really kind of fix that and adjust that accordingly. So if I were to tell you to redo this, what I would say is that you want to have more of, if you want him throwing it like this, um, having him in a static pose like this and having her aiming, it feels like the battle's already over. Um, what I would say to do is to take him and turn him around, or if you're going to kind of turn him around, I would say you need to work on the proportion. So the body, and if you're putting one shoulder here, I would put the other shoulder equal like that, with the spine like this, and then make sure when you bend your arm, you've got more foreshortening here. So this is basically in front of this arm. So create much more layered effect on that, and then make the hands just as bigger proportional because they look kind of tiny. And then on this one here, what I would do is when you've got the arm again, put that behind the arm, and then cut your block short here like this, more like a smaller barrel. Don't clip things like this. Don't clip the feet. Don't clip the torso, because it just feels like the action's cut off. So what I would do is, having him turned like this, basically I would put the hat back on it, or center the hat a little bit more like this, and then with the strings over here, and then bring the head forward more and the neck, so you see more of the side of the head like this. And then this is the side, this is the ear. Well, the ear would be up here, but that's kind of the way I'd proportion that character a little bit. And then if you want, you're going to put your posterior here. You can twist the waist a little bit, and if you block out the waist like so, the waist is just a little bit overdone. Don't make them so big, and then give him kind of a lunging, like he's the weight's under there, not that he's standing straight up about it. And then foreshadow here, or foreshortening here, and then like he's lunging more towards the character. And I think that's going to be a better aspect. And then even though he's bigger, make him, you either want to make him physically bigger, or you want to make her physically smaller, because you want that scale to basically create that. Then on her, like, the problem is you have two characters facing away from the audience, and what you want is you want to at least have one character facing towards the audience. So what I would do is I would switch this pose up so that she is going to take a, let's see here, I would do more of the silhouette of the nose here, and the forehead, the chin, and then the ear over here. And then what I would do is, like I said, because you have them both facing away, I would actually have her either running away, or I would have her like lunging away, something where she's trying to avoid his attack here. So you want to almost re-put him in there, because right now it looks very awkward the way the character is. I would, especially since you have the spine, you need to put the bottom in there, and then the leg, and then the bottom, and then the leg. So you need to adjust that accordingly. And I think it's better off if she's just looking at the audience. And then the shoulder needs to be up again, as I mentioned before. So there's a lot of things there. Watch out for this tree here. It's creating an antler off the top of her head, and then it's also a hidden edge here as well. And then what I would say is, if you're going to do that, you almost want the tree, because the way I look visually, the way I look is, the first thing I look at is I look at this character, and because of the barrel and the tree, yes, I look down here, but because of these lines, I keep looking off the page. Your lines keep telling me to go off the page. And instead, what you want to do is bring those, like bring those up into that character. So what I would say to do is, instead, I would tell you to instead of this here, with the antlers and so on, what I would do instead is build this tree back here with the roots coming up like this, and maybe a couple branches like so. Oops, I don't know, probably something like this. So build the tree coming down, and then visually put the roots in, and then you want to have the landscape go this way. So that means basically it's building towards the character. Same thing with this guy here. You're cutting off the barrel. Show me the barrel, and then you can have mountains come from underneath and swoop it in this way. You want to bring the center of the action into the viewing area of the figure. And then the waterfall looks kind of awkward because it's going almost sideways. Instead, it's simple, but it's bring it down. And then what I would do is dissipate this side with trees, because it's going to be hidden with the foliage and stuff. So I think reworking your composition would be really good, and I think also looking at anatomy, just even taking a picture of what you're doing and putting it together is going to help quite a bit.